Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started today with a monthly presentation here out of CCAV. Um, make sure everything's working properly. Okay, it appears it is. So yeah, like I was saying, this is a monthly presentation we're doing, and it's mainly just an update on like what's going on regarding housing and unemployment. There's a lot of changes going on right now. There's previous videos that we've done on these topics that are more in depth, and it goes into the specific laws that apply and everything. And those are on the Facebook page of We Do. So feel free to check those out to learn about that. For today's presentation, I am going to be going over briefly some of those topics, but it's just mainly just to keep you updated on all the what's happening regarding housing. So first, the brief introduction for those who haven't seen our videos before. My name is Fernando Nunez, and I'm a staff attorney focusing on eviction and re-entry services now here in the Antelope Valley. So I am an Antelope Valley resident. I grew up here since I was 2. I went to Antelope Valley High School. I graduated from Antelope Valley College, and now I'm back after having gone to law school, and now I'm privileged to be serving the community here. Um, like I said, I work for Neighborhood Legal Services of Los Angeles County, and we're a nonprofit law firm that provides free legal services to residents of Los Angeles County. We have over 60 attorneys on staff with many more advocates. We speak a variety of different languages in Spanish, Mandarin, Cantonese, Armenian, you name it, we probably can offer services in that language. Um, we're a partner in part of the We Do partnership, which is the collaboration of organizations offering services and resources to the Antelope Valley community. You could call us at 661-949-1206 to get connected. Now, today, like I said, what we're going to cover is just general updates on eviction protections, what's going on there. Some have expired and some have gotten extended, and also unemployment and any relevant changes that have happened in that aspect. Um, Before I get to that, I wanted to remind everyone that Lancaster is offering rent assistance for people, residents of Lancaster, and so people that have gotten affected by the COVID-19 pandemic financially and weren't able to pay rent, you could apply. You could have applied for rental assistance from the city. Now that ended. The application period ended today at 5. It just right now when I started the video, it just ended. Um, and so now they're gonna pick the people who apply. It's in like a lottery system, and then they're gonna provide assistance to those. If you didn't get a chance to apply or you didn't know about it, um, I do want to let you know that LA County is starting a similar program in the next week. And so they're going to be, they approved about $100 million in funds to assist people with rent. And their program is going to start on August 17th and it's going to remain open for 2 weeks. So it's going to be a 2 week period where you could apply for assistance. And then they aim to help around 8 to 9,000 people. So if you are interested in that or if you need that, you could go to 211la.org/LA County/rent relief. And then I'll put that in the comment of this video so you guys can have access to it. Let's see here. But I think that it's a great program for those of you that are just having trouble or worried that you're not going to be able to pay rent. This is going to be so it has to be related to COVID, and so you can learn more at this website in the comments. Okay. Now, another thing that people that have been impacted by the COVID pandemic have been resorting to is unemployment insurance. And that, as you all may know, is a program that provides temporary income for workers who have lost their job or had their hours reduced. And I think the hours reduced one is something that people don't really take advantage of. And they think that you have to lose your job completely, which is not true. You may qualify if you had your hours reduced. There are certain requirements that you have to meet, such as earning enough base, what they call base wages. So you have to earn a minimum amount during like a certain period, like a quarter, in order for you to qualify for unemployment. And there's other requirements that you have to meet. I will plug that Neighborhood Legal Services, my organization, hosts unemployment clinics where you could call in and have a virtual appointment with an attorney or another advocate, and they will assist you with any issues you may have with unemployment and just generally applying. So to register for that, you could just call here at CCAB and they'll connect you, or you could go to nlsla.org or call us at 800-433-6251. Any one of those ways, you get in contact with us and then let us know that you're looking for unemployment insurance assistance, and then they'll connect you to our clinic. But what I want to talk about in unemployment insurance today is that the federal government had been providing a $600 enhanced unemployment benefit that added to the benefit that people got from the state. And so that ended on at the end of July. And so people are no longer going to be getting those $600 going forward unless it gets renewed and then applies retroactively. Now, there was an executive order signed recently that purports to add some enhanced unemployment benefits, but it's a little unclear when that's going to go into effect. It is alleged to be retroactive to August 1st, and is slated to last until the end of December, but it's unclear when those checks are going to actually go out. Um, because the way it's set up, it relies on the states to provide some of that additional funds. So just keep an eye on that. We'll have updates when we have more concrete information on how that's going to apply. Um, but generally, the EDD, which is the organization from the state that runs the unemployment insurance, have been pretty responsive to providing people the money. And so what I mean by that is that they in the past they would have you verify a bunch of things before they release the money to you. And now they have been, at least up to this point, as far as we know, releasing the money and then being a little bit more relaxed on the having to prove the requirements. But you still doesn't mean you could lie on it. Everything still gets verified. It's just after the fact, and so people that wouldn't qualify would have to then pay it back. So that's why if you have any questions, I suggest um, come to us for the clinic, and we'll be able to assist you there. Also, I want to remind everyone how to file a claim. You could do that four different ways. You could do it online at the edd.ca.gov website. You could do it by phone, you could do it by mail, and you could do it via fax. So there's really all the ways that you could possibly think of filing it, they allow it. So definitely do take advantage of that. If you have lost some hours due to the pandemic or lost your job entirely. And another thing that has been changing is the rent protection, so the eviction moratoriums that have been going on right here in this area. This is this large web of things that have been happening, from federal protections to county to city protections, and even the courts have enacted their own policies. So today I want to mention what has changed recently. Um, So for here and for Lancaster and Palmdale, the Antelope Valley, our cities never enacted their own eviction moratorium. So the LA County moratorium has always applied. And that moratorium provides that people cannot be evicted for failing to pay rent if they have been financially impacted by COVID-19. Right? And so that moratorium has been extended. Right now it's lasts up until September 31, but it has been getting extended since it was first announced. So right now they're kind of doing it on an ongoing basis to see if it's continuously needed. So right now everyone is protected until the 31st of September, and we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if that continues. So just to reiterate, it bans any evictions for failure to pay rent if the person was affected by COVID-19, and it gives people 12 months from the time it ends to pay any owed rent back. And this applies from March 4th of this year up until now, September 30th. And so what that means is that say it doesn't get renewed on September 30th, then people will have until September 30th of 2021 to pay any back rent back to their landlord. Um, there's some wording in the moratorium that encourages payment plans, but I want to make clear that payment plans are not required under the moratorium. So we've been getting word that some landlords are trying to force people to enter into payment plans, but that's just not part of the moratorium. They're merely encouraged, but not required. So people still have the 12 months if they want to exercise those 12 months to pay the rent back. But I will make it clear also that you still tenants will still have to pay back all of the money, and once those 12 months are up, and if they haven't, the way things are right now, unless things change, the people could face an eviction for not paying that money within the 12 months. Okay. It also bans what are called no fault evictions, which are evictions that are not at the fault of the tenant. These usually include having someone in stay with you, unauthorized tenant. But this usually applies to situations where the pandemic makes it necessary. So, for example, if you have a relative who is staying with you because in their household someone tested positive and they want to stay at your spot until the other person gets better, then they can't evict you for having an unauthorized tenant. That also applies for their pets. If they brought pets with them and your lease says that you can't have pets in your apartment, then you can't be evicted for that reason. Also, what's covered are nuisances related to COVID-19, and mainly the way I think of this one is that like people are having their children home more often, and so children because they're not in school, and so they tend to be loud or play, and the neighbors may get upset and call the landlord and complain, and so that is no longer a basis for eviction. Okay, and so that one, like I said, got continued, and until September 30th. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, the cities haven't enacted their own eviction protections yet, but that could happen anytime. If they do, then the city protections will override the county. Okay, and so if you have questions about any housing issues, we do also at Neighborhood Legal Services offer a housing clinic where you could call in and get scheduled with one of our attorneys that focuses on housing. I'm one of them, and we could set up an appointment where you could talk to us for half an hour, and we'll answer all of your legal questions. But in the meantime, I do want to provide some resources about regarding eviction. Basically, the LA County has done a pretty decent job of um, providing flyers and frequently asked questions on their website. that I will try to link here in the comments. But if anybody has any questions right now, we have some time to answer questions. And so feel free to put them in the comment box. And I'm just getting the website real quick and link it. In the comments here. Okay, so yeah, so that's dcba.lacounty.gov/no evictions. And so there they have a bunch of information. It's relatively easily accessible and easy to understand. So go ahead and take a look at that. If you still have questions, feel free to ask them here, or like I said, call our clinic. You can call us directly at Neighborhood Legal Services to get set up with that. That number is 800-433-6251. Or you could go to our website, nlsla.org, to get help with that. So that's the update that I had. Really, right now for us in Antelope Valley, we have to make sure we keep an eye on that eviction moratorium. It's set to end September 30th, and we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But as of right now, if you have been impacted by financially by the pandemic, you are protected from evictions if you haven't been able to pay rent. And also, and if you're watching this later on, um, if you're not watching it during the live, you can still go ahead and leave comments. We do monitor those periodically. I'll check back every so often for the next few days. If somebody leaves some comments, I'll I'll answer them in the comments. I see a question here asking, will it be a lottery system again? Um, are you referring to the LA County? I assume you're because Lancaster one was a lottery, so they're gonna now, after everyone applied, they're now gonna do a lottery system. The LA County one, let me see here. So they're gonna have a program, like a introduction to this program on August 12th, which is this Wednesday at 11 a.m. And I'll link that link right here on the comments so you could watch and get more information there. But from what we see, or what we got, the notice that they gave us, it's not clear what the process will be. Sometimes they do it until the funds run out, but it could be a lottery. So let's keep an eye on that. But yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that. And so I do want to encourage if people need assistance with rent to apply for that one as soon as possible, because this one is LA County wide, so it's going to be a larger pool of people, whereas the Lancaster assistance was just limited to the city of Lancaster residents. So definitely check out. I would encourage you all to look at their presentation, attend their presentation on Wednesday, and learn more about the program, and um, and then apply on the 17th once it opens. Um, Also, one thing that I've encountered is that people have been getting charged with late fees for their non-payment and other types of fees. So those are not allowed under the moratoriums. The landlords um, cannot charge you late fees for not paying the rent that you owed, say since like May or June, July, if you couldn't pay due to COVID-19. And so there shouldn't be any late fees for those during this whole time. Okay. Um, Another question: does your citizenship matter for the LA County? It should not, but I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, they just announced this program, and so we'll have to see. There's nothing about immigration that I see in their announcement, but I doubt it will. Just because it is a city program, I don't think. I mean, it is a county program. I don't think they will, but we'll have to attend on Wednesday and learn more about it. Okay. What else here? So as also what I've seen regarding housing is that some landlords are getting desperate, or there've been months without getting their rent payments, and so they've been sending what are notices, but they're just letters urging their tenants to pay them the money back. And also, these are not, your landlord can communicate with you, but some of them are like sending these notices that tenants think are eviction notices, but they're really just asking the tenant if they could pay. Um, some landlords even suggest people do certain things like open up their business if their business was closed, or apply to certain programs. So they could tell you, and actually it's encouraged for them to inform their tenants of certain programs like these rental assistance programs from the city of Lancaster and in LA County. However, they can't force you to apply for anything, and then retaliate if you haven't. Okay? But if you think still, oh, I forgot to mention the courts. So the courts have to this point not been processing eviction lawsuits, who are called unlawful detainers. And so they said that they're not going to process that until the governor lifts the emergency order. And then, even then, 90 days after that is done. So, say the governor Newsom ends the emergency order today, then 3 months from now, the courts will start processing the eviction lawsuits. The other way is if that they themselves, the Judicial Council, which is the ones that have enacted this rule, rescind the rule. And I think everybody usually is in agreement that that's the most likely thing to happen, is that the Judicial Council will itself repeal the rule, because it's unlikely that Governor Newsom will do that anytime. That will lift the emergency order anytime soon, and so that can happen any day now. Um, and it seems like there's talks that the court will lift that, or will rescind that rule and allow evictions to go forward. Um, and so what that means is that any evictions that could have been filed will now go forward, um, and then they will go in front of a judge. If you are protected by the moratoriums, then you could use that as a defense that you don't owe rent. But there could be other reasons that a landlord is seeking to evict people, and so once you get a summons, that means that the court is processing your eviction case, and you need to respond as soon as possible to that. And you could do that by going to the self-help centers. We have one here at the Antelope Valley Courthouse. It's on the third floor, I believe. Um, and so that's part of neighborhood legal services. And so they'll be able to assist you with answering. And you could also call us at neighborhood legal services directly, um, and get set up with the housing clinic appointment, and we will advise you for that too. And again, that is you can call us at 800-433-6251. And so alongside that, the court is might open up to evictions. I mean, they're already allowing evictions for that are in the interest of public safety, um, or health concerns. That they've already been allowing those, but now if they rescind the rule, pretty much the floodgates will open and people will start filing for evictions. Another thing that's been happening that's a change is that the sheriffs um, are now allowed to carry out their the eviction orders. So that were called lockouts, and that's when the landlord has won an eviction case against a tenant, and then now is getting the police to kind of physically remove the tenant from the house. So how that usually happens is that the sheriffs will go out to the property and they'll post a 5-day notice saying that you have 5 days to get out because a judge issued an order for you to get out of the property. And in 5 days, the sheriffs are going to return. And if you're still there, they're going to physically remove you from the property. We have been hearing that people are getting those notices now, whereas before the sheriff's department had said that they were not processing um, those 5-day notices themselves, so they weren't doing lockouts. And so, if you get one of those, just know that's what that is. And usually, when that happens, is because you already had your chance in court. Unfortunately, a lot of people get a default judgment because they actually never showed up to court, because maybe they never got the notice or they just forgot about the court date and they didn't go. And when that happens, you lose automatically most of the time. And then the judge orders a default judgment against you and automatically um, gives a win to the landlord. And so odds are that's what has happened in your situation. You you can do some things about it. So, if, for example, if you never got the notice, there may be something that you could do about that. So, get legal assistance immediately if you do get a 5-day notice. And then, but if not, if you did go to court and you did get evicted, that's what that is, the 5-day notice. And so that's another change that's been happening that sheriffs are now moving forward with that. However, I called the sheriff's office here in the Antelope Valley, the Lancaster and Palmdale, and as of last week, they advised me that they were not moving forward with those lockouts out here. However, in other parts of LA, it seems like they are. So it's a little unclear, even among the sheriff's department, what their procedure is gonna be going forward. But just be on the lookout for that. If you do get one, or if you have know somebody that has, let us know. So we like to stay on top of those changes. But yeah, so be on the lookout for the Judicial Council to rescind this rule. That seems like it could happen anytime. Hopefully, it it doesn't, so that people stay in their homes. But that is something that is a possibility. Um, okay, so I do want to talk about another thing that I've encountered a lot during our clinic appointments, and that is people. There's a pandemic going on, and whether they can or should allow the landlord to go into their home during this time. So the rules, the law on that says that the landlord does have a right to enter, However, it has to be during business hours and have to give notice unless it's an emergency situation where they have to go in there and repair like a say the apartment is flooding and is damaging other properties and they have to go in there immediately. Um, but I've seen some, like for example, a situation where a landlord was trying to sell a home and they wanted to host, um, they wanted to host an open house in the property to show people while the residents were still in there. And so there is, if you are encountering that type of situation, you send the landlord a letter. You could come get legal assistance and call us at neighborhood legal services, and we'll guide you on how to respond to that. But I've been seeing a lot of that recently, where landlords are trying to sell their property, or and with the tenants still in there, and the tenants are afraid because they're being exposed to being infected. And so yeah, contact us to get legal assistance with that. But the law does provide some protections for the tenants um, for situations where that is happening. Also, while I'm here, is we do besides the housing work, we do reentry work, and reentry is pretty much helping people that have been formerly incarcerated, or not even just incarcerated, but just have any contact with the justice system, the criminal justice system. There, as it relates to employment, there are a lot of protections in terms of when people are applying for work, what the employers can and can't do, and there's a certain procedure that they do, and we are monitoring that situation out here in the Antelope Valley, and trying to work and educate employers, but also be reactive when employers are violating that law, because it's a relatively new law that passed, and so a lot of employers may not know about it. And so basically, the gist of that is that for private employers that fall under the Fair Chance Act, which is the law that applies here, they cannot ask a person about their criminal records in the application, or in during the interview, or any time in between that, at any time before they make them an offer of employment. Um, so they can't ask about any of that. And then after they do make an offer of employment, they can get the person to consent and answer questions about their criminal history. But um, they can take into consideration certain things, such as convictions that are over 7 years old and things that have been expunged. So people shouldn't disclose those if that does apply to you. And also, um, you should get those expunged. We help with those already. But the way they find out that information is by getting a criminal background check. And you should request a copy of that to make sure those are correct. Because over the past couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of criminal history reports that have inaccurate information on them. And one of my clients even has something that's not like a conviction that's not his. It's a completely different person, and it's a pretty serious conviction that's on there. So if an employer was to see that um, after that person consented to a background check, it could jeopardize their employment. And so I know it's tough out there for people to get jobs now with the pandemic and everything going on. If you and we don't want your involvement with the criminal justice system to be more of a barrier. So we think more than ever this is important for you to take care of those things. We do offer those services like expungements and other forms of record clearing, like sealing for arrests where you were never convicted, um, juvenile sealings, and reductions, and a bunch of different ones that we apply. Also, if you're on probation, we do also help with early termination of probation. And all these things help with getting a job. And right now, I think people need to have everything ready for when the economy starts opening up, and as it is, to be able to get a job and be able to pay rent and all that. So we help with that for free here at Neighborhood Legal Services. You can reach out to us through CCAV or call us directly. Again, at 800-433-6251. Let me check if there's any more questions on here. Okay, looks like we're all good. Like I said, if you're watching this later, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment box below. I'll monitor that over the next few days. And next month, we're going to have another meeting, so stay tuned for those. And go ahead and look through our page. We do CCAV's Facebook page. There's other videos with more content that we've done in the past. I don't want to keep repeating the same information every time, every month. So, and because they stay saved on here, so go ahead and check them out. And as always, feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you may have. And if there's a specific subject that you guys are interested in hearing about, um, let us know, and we'll be able to provide some Know Your Rights presentations on that. Okay, thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next month.